And hello, welcome back to the Gay Racing Podcast. Zack and Alex are back with you, joined today, of course, by our great friend Jackson Todd.
Hello.
Joining us once again, for the 10th time?
This is number, I counted. This is number 11, I think is what I figured out.
Denny Hamlin. Cool. Awesome. Yeah.
I think it's 12.
12 for Blaney.
It's
You've been on for some Chicago episodes too. So
yes, and I skipped the Kansas race. I've done Chicago. Yeah. It's
our tradition dating back to literally like 2020, the fall Kansas race. Jackson comes on after the Kansas race. Jackson was there, of course. Alex was also at the Kansas race. These two have a lot to talk about. I have the challenge today of shutting my mouth and letting them discuss what's going on with like the on track experience at Kansas. We're going to talk a little bit about, the attendance, because that's like been a storyline. We'll also talk about the IndyCar race at the Indy road course, the Indy Grand Prix, and we'll look ahead to Indianapolis 500 qualifying, the NASCAR All-Star race this weekend. But yeah, Jackson, thank you for coming on again, of course. 200 episodes ago, Alex, Jackson was on for episode 4.
Yeah, episode 4. My candle exploded. I can't make an appearance.
I remember
my candle exploding.
Good times. Well, Jackson, as Zack said, we were both at Kansas, and we saw a pretty dominant race from Kyle Larson. That was his third win of 2025. He ties Christopher Bell, who finished second in number of wins in the season. That was Kyle Larson's 32nd career Cup win. He ties Dale Jarrett for 29th all time. I didn't realize he had that many. I mean, it makes sense, but I was like, oh, wow, 32. It's a lot.
I like the comparison to he had the same amount of wins as like Chase Elliott a few years ago, but
he's way ahead
really
of Elliott.
Just taken off while, Elliott's kind of in I hate to call it a slump because I'm sure we're going to get to it, but Chase Elliott had control of that race yesterday. And if it wasn't for a mistake on a pit stop, I think we could be talking about a different winner today. I think Chase Elliott really did have something for Larson yesterday, and I wish we could have really seen what he had. But
yeah,
we'll get to more on that later.
Larson set a new record of laps led at Kansas Speedway with 221 of the 267 laps. The previous record was Jimmy Johnson in 2011. He won 197. This is from Steven Stumpf from Front Stretch. Really cool. Kyle Larson just breaking these records, and Steven Stumpf also put a note out that this is the most laps led in a mile and a half race ever.
Really?
What?
I found that pretty crazy. He beat Jeff Gordon 2010. I forget which track exactly.
Wow.
But crazy stat. 400-mile race at a mile and a half. Yeah.
What race did Jeff Gordon dominate in 2010?
I think it was 2010. But yeah,
it must
Texas maybe?
No, because they were 500 milers. 400 miles. That's weird.
But yeah, you can check that out on Steven Stump's Twitter account. I want to mention real quick, because Kyle Larson, just really quick note, I got to talk with him Friday night. I was covering the High Limit Sprint Car Series for ATL Media. Quick shout out to Kyle, High Limit, and Taylor Kitchen for making all that happen. I got to chat with Kyle for a minute. It's really cool that I got to do that the weekend he won, and the same month he's going to do the Indy 500 and 600 double. So that was a really cool experience. You can find out all that on the ATL Media socials. But
so cool.
Big weekend
for you, Alex. Talk to Kyle Larson. I'm so glad. I told you this already. I'm just so glad you got to do that. Do a little. It was cool. Big boy race going. Interview some drivers.
And cool. I want to cap that off by saying Slay of the Week to Kyle Larson, because runs a dirt race. I got to talk to him. He was very nice and considerate of his time with me. And then he goes and dominates a cup race. And then tonight, as of this recording, May 12th, he's running another sprint car race. And then tomorrow, he's going to do Indy 500 practice. Like, guy is awesome. Just always just racing something.
Yeah. Makes me he's my inspiration anytime I do iRacing, like trying to race 3 different cars. Like, I'm like Kyle Larson right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he's got like 11 straight days of like nonstop racing. I believe he's doing a high limit. Yeah, he's doing a high limit sprint car race. Yep. I believe, like, as we're recording, like Kokomo, I believe. So
yep, Kokomo, Indiana. He's in Indiana.
It kind of feels like, I mean, am I misremembering things? But I feel like last year we kind of talked about like last year was going to be the year of Larson, but it feels like this year is real. This is hitting as the year of Larson.
That's
like
true.
Actually,
I mean, he won a lot early last season, but then like summer, as a lot of people did, he just kind of went on a slump.
Yeah.
But like this year, he is like, we saw him dominate races like in the playoffs, like Bristol and the Roval, but now he's going into the season still dominating races, and he's actually finishing them off, which is kind of surprising, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the thing with Kyle Larson, the thing with Kyle Larson is that there was just no mistakes. No mistakes.
No, yeah.
Like you mentioned Chase Elliott, he had that slow pit stop. And other guys like Denny Hamlin, really, really fast car, had no clutch. I don't know if Bubba Wallace had a car that could have won, but he had a pit road penalty for equipment interference. Brad Keselowski was running second at a point. He hits the wall, has a tire go out. Just Kyle Larson had a perfect day, and that is something 10 years ago, and he was just newer to the Cup Series still. Mistakes. We don't see mistakes. I mean, we do. We see mistakes from Kyle Larson, but not as much as we used to, and that's what's made him a formidable threat every single week and every year.
And I will say it's something like to be said. All of his main competitors yesterday they did have issues. Like I mentioned, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin with clutch problems. Brad Keselowski started showing speed, and then he probably would have caught Larson.
It wasn't an issue, but let's move on to Ryan Blaney. He had another long run car, and that's ultimately what cost him the win. Because
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Of course, we had the cautions at the start of stage 3, and we didn't really get a proper long run at the end of the race. But if Blaney didn't have a long run car, I think he, just like Chase Elliott, Keselowski, might have had a better car than Larson at times in this race. It's just that car. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really frustrating to watch sitting there, because the switch would start to happen like 20-ish laps into the run. Blaney, he'd be running like tenths faster than the Hendrick cars, but it's NASCAR in 2025. Like, your long run speed is unfortunately not important, and it's nice that they have it, but that's assuming that you're going to have a normal end of the race, and that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about it, though, is why is the 12 team champions? Because of their long run speed at Martinsville and Phoenix, like 2023. That's the weird thing about it. And it's almost like I'm thinking it's a thing with Ryan Blaney and his driving style. Like, I almost wonder if that 12 team has developed to a point to where Ryan Blaney, he must just not be that excellent in terms of getting the most out of the car on a short run. So instead of building the car for a short run, Jay Haas, they're getting that car ready for long runs, and it's like every week but that's the thing, and this is the conversation we're having. Has it paid off? No, it has not this year for him, and especially in those races where he's gotten, we call it bad luck, gets involved in wrecks. It's because he loses too much track position when there's a bunch of restarts, or Saturday qualifies in the back, and it just he has a really hard time getting up through the pack. So it's just, I don't know if it's something the 12 team's looking at, but it's a conversation we're having. And
I think another 5 laps, Ryan Blaney was going to win this race. I think Larson's tires are really starting to wear. I don't know if Larson had like a tire.
Well,
Blaney was right there. So was Bell.
There was a last pack of traffic that Larson hit, and that was a wall. That last pack of traffic, like if we had one less yellow, like literally, that would have been the difference.
Yeah, and we had a Patreon comment from Dylan, and he wonders how the race would have been without stages. And I'm right there with you, because go back to the end of stage 2, and Chase Elliott was about to take control of the race on the racetrack. He ended up doing it on pit road, but he was about to take control of that race. And I would have loved to see what this race would have looked like, because I don't think Larson would have been able to keep it together for, again, that long of a green flag run. I mean, 80 laps is, sure, it's a long run, but you're cutting it into 240s, so it's still they're that's pretty medium. That's like a medium run if you think about it in terms of like tire wear.
Yeah, I get kind of weird with like thought experiments like this. Like they're interesting, but like ultimately, like that's not what they're racing for. But it is interesting if there was a scenario where like there's no cautions, but they're still racing for stage points. Like if someone could have like cut a pit stop, like Riley Herbst and Ty Dillon tried to do in stage 1, basically. Like if there's a way where you can like cut a stop, sacrifice your stage 1 points, but you're able to run it front and get the stage 2 points. And then like stage 3 is its own contest. I think that would have been really interesting in this race.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because, you know, without stages, yes, the field gets more spread out, but this car just it thrives with strategy in long runs. We talked about that at Darlington. So I don't know, but there's no point talking about it because they're never getting rid of stage cautions. So let's just
and the thing is too is we did have some sort of tire wear. We had a new left side tire on this car. And at the end of one of the stages, Jackson, I forget which one, they were crawling around the speedway. They were going so slow, saving their tires, trying to make it to the end of the stage. It just would have been really fascinating to see how they would have played out because some would have burnt their tires faster, but they all knew when the caution was coming.
Yeah.
So they were all just saving at the same rate. And we just lose such a cool dynamic with the stage cautions.
And if there's no stage cautions, you're not going to pit. Some might, but you're not going to pit 40 laps into the run because it's just you're going to be cutting your fuel window too short if the race goes way too long. You know, like they're just not going to be doing that. That's why people want to see these just, you know, no stage cautions back.
Well, and that's the thing, too. Yeah. If they got rid of the stage cautions, a regular caution could still come out at any point. You're not getting a guaranteed
especially if someone's going to blow a tire.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you would still have to be trying to win the overall race. You don't know when a caution is going to come out. You're not always guaranteed. You'll have a lot of people trying to make it to the stage end, but you're not guaranteed like, oh, that's going to be our break. Everyone's going to pit here. People might try going long still and just focus on the race win. It's a whole new dynamic, and we saw it play out at the Indy Road Course.
I mean, you can watch a lot of older races. Like I was watching the 2012 Fall Texas race, you know, a few nights ago, and I was just like, I mean, there was a whole like 10 lap window or even more, like where these guys are pitting, and it's like there's like, oh, Jimmy Johnson's staying out right now because he doesn't want Brad Keselowski to get the lead lap point because he was in second. Like it's just like so cool. Like it's a lot of cool stuff like that. But moving on from that though, let's talk about Chase Elliott. Because I love NASCAR Twitter. That's why I'm still on it. Last week, they are ready to fire Alan Gufferson. All those Chase fans are like, Alan Gufferson.
They're ready to fire him every week.
He's the worst crew chief ever. Get him out. The exact next weekend, the 9 car is actually like competing with the 5 for the first time in like forever. It feels like the 9's never really up there with the 5, maybe the 24, but never the 9. Like he might be behind them a little bit, but he was taking it to Kyle Larson. I mean, and this was probably one of the first races since maybe the Clash where I'm just like, whoa, Chase Elliott can actually win races right now. And it just sucks that his pit crew, I believe it was like on the right rear, they had problems with the tire. Just throws it away. And we talked about that. You know, Kyle Larson didn't make mistakes. The 5 team didn't make mistakes. You can't make mistakes in these NASCAR races if you want to win, especially with, you know, how important track position is, even at a track like Kansas.
Yeah.
It's I think there's positives to take away if you're a Chase fan. I know there's a lot of Chase fans. Some probably even watch this podcast, but I feel for them because this was probably one of the better races Chase Elliott has run in a long time. I feel like.
I would agree with that. And Chase ended up finishing 15th, and that doesn't really show the full effort that they had today or in that race yesterday. He's
still very high in points, though. Again, he's having a season like last year where he's like, is he going to win races? Probably not, but he'll have points, which is important.
It's kind of, he still doesn't even have like a stage win. Like that's what I was thinking about when he was catching Larson yesterday is like, he's running well, but he doesn't have that winning edge even for a stage.
I mean, it'll be like last year. Yeah, he'll be in the round of 8. There's no damn shot he's making it to the championship 4. Even though Martinsville was looking pretty good for a while, but still, like, they definitely need to win more races.
I just want to note on Hendrick Motorsports as a whole, you had the 24 lost a tire and spun at the entry of pit road. Alex Bowman had reported he had a vibration at a point. At the end of stage one, Jackson and I, we were both listening to Larson's radio, and Cliff Daniels gave such a great recap of the first stage. And it was like a minute long.
Yes, it was so impressive.
I was like, oh my gosh, that was the best analysis I've ever heard.
It was like literally the best, most concise NASCAR analysis I've heard in my entire life, which makes sense because he's a championship. He's like probably the best active crew chief right now. But he literally went through the entire field. He was like, here's what your teammates are doing. Here's, Blaney and Barry are doing good on the long run. Here's what happened right behind you. He like went through like basically he gave an entire summary of the top 10. And he was like, here's how we fit into this picture. It was
really
crazy. Like Fox could literally, Fox should just like air that. And it summarized the entire first
That was the best analysis I've heard, like at a race involving a race.
So
maybe in the last decade.
I guess I would assume he does something like that every race. So if you have like the NASCAR app or like Max or anything like that, maybe check in Coke 600, listen to the 5 radio at the end of the stage and during the stage caution before they pit, see if he says anything. Maybe I assume he'll do it again in some way.
And that frustrates me. I want to add, Larson, he said that someone was running the high line, Cliff Daniels did, and Larson where on the high line, like when they're passing people, does he go? And Cliff was like, hey, let me get that back for you. They're doing pace laps while Fox is on commercial. And like 2 minutes later, Cliff comes back and says, hey, I got that info for you. Yeah. This is what they were doing. And then Larson's like, copy.
Yeah, because I think it was about Chase, because Chase was like running like half a lane lower or something and making time. And so he asked about where that was happening. It was really cool. It was really cool to hear. Yeah, it was cool to hear and see. That's at track, we're getting to it. But that's the stuff. Like, and you even get on the radio when you're sitting at home, but being able to see that play out is really interesting.
Well, I want to mention that too, because that frustrates me about watching not only NASCAR, but IndyCar on TV these days when the racing is not obviously exciting, because we know there's a lot of stuff going on, but there's no actual way to like find out what is happening. And it just frustrates me because what does TV have to do to relay that to the viewer? That's what I'm always like. I mean, IndyCar, for example, they don't even show like what tires everyone's already taken. Like, what's Pillow going to be on the next 10? What's Rahal going to be on the next 10? I was like trying to like figure that out myself. Like, it's just stuff like that's really frustrating. And it's something that, Jackson, as you said, you're getting at the track with a headset. TV has to be relaying that. And it is possible because F1 does it. Sky Sports does it. They get to the bottom of stuff. When the race is boring, they're going to break down everything that's going on right now. Right? Like with whatever that may be with F1. Oval racing, there's a lot of small things that add up that, again, running a half a lane lower, you wouldn't think that matters, but like that's just one of the cool parts about NASCAR and why these drivers are so good. Like,
and that might have been
stuff like that.
That feedback from Cliff to Kyle might have been what won Kyle stage 2, for all we know. If it was Chase, like, I don't know. I'm just giving it as an example, but like that might have been what was able to keep Larson ahead of Elliott.
Yeah.
So let's do some quick shout outs, quick mentions here. Alex Bowman, he looked strong all day, finished 5th. Apparently he got mad at Denny Hamlin at a point.
Can I say, funny. And they said this on the teardown, and I agree with this. There is no 4th Hendrick car right now. If anything, it's Kyle Larson and his 3 teammates.
Yeah,
Jackson's pointing.
I was thinking about saying that during the chase portion. I just didn't want to add it, but like on it, it's the last unlabelable amount of time. It's like Byron has like kind of passed Chase a little bit, and I
He's
think
been like that for a while.
Byron had a bad day, and Chase was like, "Hey, I'm running P2," and then Bowman was there as well. But I agree 100% with what you said there.
I tell you what, Rudy Fugle, they did not take the wave around at the end of whatever stage it was. They were having problems, and I think that was a mistake. Like, I saw someone mention that on social media. Like, why did you not get your lap back? What are you doing? They did not have a good finish yesterday, of course.
Right.
What about Chase Briscoe, Alex?
Yeah, some other shout-outs. Chase Briscoe got 4th, and there was a moment later in the race, I think it was late stage 3 of the last long run, he made this big pass, 3-wide pass on Ryan Preece and Logano, and I was tapping Jackson on the shoulder, and I was like, oh my God, look at Briscoe. Briscoe's in the top 5. And you had told me that Preece and Logano had just made contact.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty exciting moment. Good run for Briscoe.
You said this was a quick list, but I want to talk about Briscoe too.
Okay.
I read a thing about on Racer, the magazine, Racer, last week heading into Texas. They were just talking to Briscoe, started the season. It was he had a good finish, penalty. It's kind of been up and down, floating around the playoff bubble. And he talked about how the mile and a half is where he's feeling the biggest change from his SHR4 to his JGR Toyota. And he didn't really have an opportunity to do that last week. He got up out of the groove, hit the bumps, and wrecked at Texas. So today was probably his first real chance here in this chunk to be able to run properly at these mile and a half. And he put up a top 5 on a day where, Ty Gibbs was nowhere to be seen. Hamlin wound up having clutch issues. Bell finished second, but Briscoe still got a top 5. It's really impressive. I'll be curious to see what he does next week.
Good point.
Yeah.
Another guy had a really good day. Corey Heim finished 13th. He was the highest finishing 2311 car. 2311 owned this track not that long ago. Best running car is the guy with 4 Cup starts now. Heim was a part of the start of one of the incidents in the start of stage 3, but still, he's still learning. I wouldn't hold that against him, but great.
Everyone
great
was.
pace.
There were veterans wrecking.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's NASCAR restarts. It's you're telling these guys to go 4 wide in turns 1 and 2, and then figure it out once they get off the corner.
Yeah.
They were going 5 wide at one point with Eric Jones. I'm not even gonna think about holding that against Corey Heim. The fact that he survived all of that and gets a 13th place finish, which the race ended with a long run, so it's not like
he was passing guys. I remember telling Jackson Heim's passing Reddick right now.
Exactly, Reddick, the guy that went to the championship race for this organization,
dominated Kansas before, has won Kansas.
The thing with 2311, they added a full-time team this year, and it's showing. It's showing. Yeah, it's not showing for people like Ryan Preece.
It's a forgettable car, but it's there.
Right.
It's taking resources.
It's taken them from the championship 4 tier to the round of 12, round of 8 tier. That's it's a small drop when you're going from running 3rd and 4th to running 6th and 7th, but that's a big jump when your ceiling is moving down like that.
Reddick's still 6th in points, but that almost surprises me. And Bubba's even 10th in points, but it just doesn't. They don't close out a lot. I don't know. We're still only halfway through the regular season, right? We still got time to go. They could still figure things out, but it only gets crazier from here. That's my only problem.
Yeah,
it gets crazier from here. More road courses, super speedways, kind of.
Yeah. So, I hope Heim gets a Cup ride sooner rather than later. Brad Keselowski mentioned him a little earlier. Best speed he's had all year. Still doesn't have the results to show.
He actually showed up. He showed up.
He clocked really in for about 10 minutes, and then he clocked right back out.
That Homestead news really got him going, man.
Denny Hamlin really impressed me. He had really good speed, but he had no clutch. He was just not.
No, literally no clutch. Not his usual problem of no clutch, but his actual physical clutch was broken. Yep. Oh my God.
Good clarification.
He's got to make a joke about that on his podcast with no clutch.
Josh Berry, I think, could have won this race if he didn't start last and then get a speeding penalty. Josh Berry finished 6th in this race. He had to drive through the pack twice in a car that's hard to pass in. Josh Berry is so impressive, man.
This intermediate track speed from Josh Berry, we're this guy's going to be really going to... Well, Penske, let's talk about him and Penske in general. Road or short tracks, they own them. Look at these guys on the intermediates. This is insane.
It feels it seems like, okay, so if we're talking about 2311 dropping off, it feels like Penske has kind of slipped in a little bit into kind of the rankings there.
Especially this early season. It's so weird. And we've had, to be fair, and Jackson, we've talked about this, so many intermediate tracks on the schedule. If there's a time to get better at them, it's now, especially with Homestead coming next year. It's the championship. But
Right.
They've definitely, it seems like they flipped a switch a little bit.
And last little shout out here, Shane Van Gisbergen finished 20th. He stayed on the lead lap throughout the day. I think thumbs up for SVG because I think he needs like a solid run like this. I feel like he's usually running in the 30s or low 20s. 20th feels pretty good for him. Good for him.
Have y'all seen like the criticism on Trackhouse?
Yeah, I feel like they have it's the same thing they've had the last few years.
That's why I'm like, why are we just talking about this now?
Yeah.
That's why I'm like,
it's whatever.
I mean, I guess it is. I mean, Chastain won the fall, but like,
Chastain always, he's just, I don't know.
The big discussion on social media has been, was this actually a good race? And we've had that long string of races that were kind of dull or whatever, or just not good. And we've talked about that at length on the pod. But our Patreon member Dirt says, flop of the week to Fox Sports. Despite having a new director, they continue to come back each week with the goal of a worse broadcast than the previous week. Fox only watched Larson and missed many passes. Again, Jackson and I were at the race. So Zach, you were watching Fox. Was the race good for you?
Definitely. I was trying to watch IMSA at the same time, but I was muting IMSA a lot just to, because it's NASCAR Kansas. I want to focus on this race. It's one of the better races of the year. Here's my thing. There's no direction and no storylines. There's no storylines. And I think that's part of the reason why Fox kind of has trouble coming up with stuff to focus on because, and yes, I'm going to do this right now. Maybe it's because our championship doesn't start until September. I mean,
but that's kind of a them problem. That's a Fox.
It's
but
a
Fox
problem.
That's Fox could do things though.
Yes,
they should talk about the playoff
because
points.
here's what you talk about. You talk about this Penske's Ford storyline. Right? I mean, like, right? There's stuff you can work with that. Like, yes, I agree. This race isn't important in the consequence of ultimately deciding the champion is, but like. There's still stories. There's always a story. There's 36 cars out there running every week. There's always a story. Did they mention SVG that entire broadcast? Probably not.
Probably not. Maybe once, but like, I don't know. Like, so yes. Can Fox do more? Yes. The playoff thing, to me, it's just like, I think Fox has trouble seeing through the forest with it.
Multiple things can be true.
They are looking for, like, what are the big, obvious storylines? And it's just like, oh, here's Kyle Larson winning another race again. Because as a NASCAR fan, that's what it feels like watching this. And this is the worst part of the season. This April and May slump where there's no stakes. Like, the season newness is worn off and the playoffs aren't near. It's the worst part of the season. All we're doing is watching people win races and collect 5 playoff points. Yeah. That's what it feels like. I know but there's really, honestly though, there's really not that much more happening except maybe the guys like in the cutoff, but except we don't know where the cutoff's going to be because we don't know who's going to win races from here on.
Right.
It's a weird, that's my problem because it's almost like you would almost have to talk about every driver in the field and be like, well, this guy could win and this guy could be at the cutoff. Maybe he is at it's just unclear. And I feel like I don't know. I blame Fox. I blame NASCAR.
I also wonder this. I mean, this was also their last race, right? So, I mean, there's kind of, they're tired. They're on the way out the door. I mean,
they're tired at Daytona.
Well,
I don't know what you're talking
about. Yes, but in terms of this lull in the season, like, kind of why do they never care, but like, really, why do they care right now?
Especially since they're not covering, the race to the playoffs. And I always kind of caught that too. Like the NBC switch, they're focusing on the playoffs a lot.
Yes.
Fox, they don't care. They're not going to cover the playoffs. So I think that's kind of definitely part of it too. And there's definitely frustration, as a fan watching this race. The racing itself, though, I got to see passes. And Tanner, Dirt is right. Like, there's not a lot of passes going on, but that TV showing rather. Like, TV's not showing us all of the passes, but I did watch cars pass each other yesterday. I watched Chase Elliott challenge Kyle Larson for for the win. That was a storyline yesterday. That was cool. I wanted to see what was going to happen with that. I wanted to see what stage 3 was going to look like, and then they decided to wreck 3 times in a row. So that's not Fox's fault. That's, that's just how NASCAR is with restarts. So I don't know.
What did you vote on Gluck's poll? Yes,
I voted yes because I saw cars pass, and that's certainly more than I saw the last 5 weeks.
Fair.
And I wasn't sure who was going to win the race until about maybe 10 or 5 laps to go. So
yeah. Okay. Well, Jackson, you and I were both at the track, and Dirt wants to know our perspective because our Patreon member Dirt says, Alex and Jackson, we've endured a streak of bad races at tracks that normally produce bangers. Since we were at the track, did you see the kind of race you were accustomed to seeing at Kansas in the next gen era? I'll go first because it was a Kansas race. Was it a next gen Kansas race? Maybe not. But it was still good. It was a good Kansas race. It was not spring 2024. It was not one of the 2023 races either. But it was still good. I enjoyed myself. I had a good time. We still had plenty of passing. I tried something new this time. I sat with you, Jackson. You sit by the restart zone. I'm normally way over in turn 1. That made it a new, unique experience for me. Seeing him actually on the banking in 3 and 4 was cool for me. I thought this was still a good race from the stands. What did you think overall?
Yeah, I mean, most races you see in person, it ends up being a good race. But I thought it was a good race. And if anything, it was very impressive to watch Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels do what they did. Just kind of knowing how this era and this track and all the, the history of the recent history, I guess, of all that. Yeah, I thought it was a good race. It is nice, like Zack said, like there was passing, right? I think I wish, we're kind of flipping through channels on the scanner. I would have liked to pay a little bit more attention to Christopher Bell's day. I think that was pretty interesting because he was up there in that mix, but he just wasn't quite. He couldn't obviously pull away like the Hendrick cars could, but he also he couldn't quite do what the Fords were doing where they came on late. So I think that would have been interesting. But yeah, they were able to pass. Like Barry and Blaney, they had the speed later in the run, and they were able to capitalize on that. And that's why they had the finishes they did, right? So it was a good race in the sense that the guys that ran well got rewarded for it, and they were able to control their own destinies and pass cars. I think, by definition, that is a good race. It's not just about having the closest finish in NASCAR history. Was a good race executed? I would say yes.
I agree. And I think a lot of people, because it was a spring Kansas race, because we just had that a year ago, the expectations were sky high, even though this was very similar to the fall race last year. I'd say those races were very similar. The reason that race in this last year's spring was so good, I think, is because we had cooler temperatures. We had the rain delay. It was at night. This track really shines at night with this car, especially we saw last year. It was just... I think all the factors that make this car good, and there are not a lot of them, really came to light last year in this race.
And I think some of that is also teams prepared for the day and you raced at night, and you also the transition from day to night. True. And it's almost, obviously completely different, but the Bristol tire race where teams were throwing a curveball without really kind of quite understanding what was coming. And I think a day to night transition, I guess we'll see what happens next week for some of it, but that's so much of that race is run at night. It's a little different. But that day to night transition is interesting. And I guess this is kind of, I kind of scattered throughout here, but this race should have been a darn night race. Really, it should have been a transition day to night race. It's Mother's Day Sunday. It's hot out there. If you can run the trucks on the Saturday night, it's not too cold to run a race. Obviously,
it was Saturday night.
No one's taking their mama to the damn NASCAR race on Mother's Day.
No.
What are we doing?
Yes, y'all? And it would literally be a better racing product. You have a string of boring, okay, I wouldn't say boring. You have a string of very similar races back to back to back. Kansas is a good track. Hype it up, make it an event, make it this special night race. We're going to Kansas Saturday night. Let's go. I don't know. It just feels like a missed opportunity on so many levels. Competition side, like attendance side, like overall event hype side. Like you're talking about a lull in the season. We're going back to Kansas Saturday night. Last year we had the closest finish. Like as Alex, I mean, we texted about it, but like the aura of that finish, a lot of that is because it was under the lights. Like it doesn't quite, you know, like, it's just like missed opportunity.
Richmond on Easter got lucky that they ran it at night, because I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't have gone to the Richmond Spring Race last year if it was during the day. I celebrate Easter with my family, and I'm not even religious. Like that, I just do. That's something I do. I celebrate Mother's Day with my mother. If I lived in Kansas City, I'm not going to that damn NASCAR race. It's not happening. I'm not taking my mom. My mom doesn't want to go to a NASCAR race.
We're kind of touching around it. Let's talk about the attendance then.
Yeah.
Because
no wonder no one showed up.
That was a big topic, because the stands, I've seen pictures, looked pretty good. The row, Jackson, it was me, you, and your dad.
And two other people
only
way
ones in that row. Then way on the other end of the row were two other people. Look, it was said, Mother's Day. That's a big one. The Kansas City Royals were playing at home.
Which of those two are you going to take your mom to?
But there's another one. The Kansas City Current.
Which of those three?
I'm taking her to the steakhouse. That's where I'm taking her. I ain't taking her to a damn sporting event. Are y'all drunk? The night before, maybe, because it's not Mother's Day. She doesn't want to go to a NASCAR race on Mother's Day. What are you talking about?
You had 3 sporting events, and if you're a NASCAR fan, or at least you know NASCAR, and you've watched the last 5 weeks, you're like, I don't want to go to NASCAR. It hasn't been that good. Current, really good in soccer right now. The Royals are pretty good this season too. This is also the hottest day of the year, so if you don't want to go outside, you don't take your mom. It's like 80 degrees. Yeah, she don't want to like the hot weather.
She would be dead. I feel like y'all gonna kill my mom to see Kyle Larson win. What are we doing?
On top of all that, the prices for this race went way up. I saw several people on social media saying that the prices for Kansas are now the same price as the championship race. And I don't know if that's accurate. I haven't looked at the Phoenix championship race. My assumption is that they got a little greedy because of how good the track has become. And there's also the new Ticketmaster fees and stuff like that. The prices are up. I definitely had to pay more for my seats, and I wasn't exactly happy about that. But I mean, I do the full season too. Like I got the Saturday event and stuff. And this race used to be the Saturday night to avoid Mother's Day weekend.
But did now, that for years, and it was so cool. It was such a vibe.
It was so cool. And it differentiated the fall and the spring Kansas races. It's like, okay, this is the cool night race, and then in the fall, it's a little cooler, so we're running in the day, and we're going to have the playoffs. It was really cool. But now for the TV, we're running both in the day. It's just weird to me.
And there's people arguing that Kansas should only have one date after seeing the attendance yesterday.
If you follow local news, Kansas City, so you might think that Kansas is going to get a third date, because one of the local stations said Kansas might get a third date.
Because they think
they had 3 truck races in 2020. I do remember that. Well, they weren't 3 weekends, but
because of the little bit of tea here, the NASCAR announced a championship race is going to rotate Homestead next year, as we said.
They're idiots. Okay, I see.
Yeah, the local news thought that.
I see how the local news got that. Okay, that's funny as hell.
And
really funny.
I bring that up right now because it's like, if you're going to have the cooler race is a better product, maybe Kansas could host a championship. That's a whole other discussion. But Jackson, do you think Kansas could do the championship race?
It would. I mean, I don't know. Are we transitioning here to kind of? Could it? Yes. Just like practically, like temperature, like big market, like it checks the boxes. Yeah,
yes, it's a city. It would be in my rotation for sure.
It could be 60 to 70, but also some year it could be like 40. So like it's kind of.
You go to Martinsville the week before.
Yeah, I don't put a jacket on.
Put a damn jacket on. The
Chiefs, put some jeans on.
What do the Chiefs fans do?
Yeah.
We're in a city. It's cold.
Yeah,
they're used to. And I'm serious. When I lived in college in a city, you have to dress warmer because you're not driving in your car. You're walking down the street. These Kansas City people will be fine in November watching a NASCAR race. I promise you.
But the question people are asking is like, well, if people aren't going to a race in the spring and the low attendance
on Mother's Day, yeah, I'll show up to the championship race. I'm not showing up to
And
to
here,
Advent Health's Mama 400. I'm not going there.
here's what Jackson is dying to talk about: is the promotion for this race was all about the photo finish from a year ago.
It's like
not the multi-group racing, the photo
right.
finish.
There's. I mean, this is enter Jackson just trying to keep himself together territory here. It's so frustrating. Like, okay, this race, it feels like this race is being taken advantage of. It feels like, because like if you gave, it's like they have a good on-track product, and so they don't need to, like, that's carrying the ticket sales. I mean, I would think, right? It doesn't matter what your facility's like if you can put on a good race, and you don't have to promote if you just have this one clip you can keep putting out that's like, oh, it was a good finish. So like that's why it kind of goes back to like, could Kansas host a championship? Yes, but like they're not showing what NASCAR wants in terms of like a track promoting. I mean, I don't know what the dynamic is between like Phoenix Raceway and like NASCAR and like Phoenix like local, like, you know, like we don't really know what that full like dynamic looks like. But yeah, it's frustrating that like if you're promoting that finish, that is not going to happen. It is the closest finish in NASCAR history that, for one, was set up by overtime. Like, let's be real here. And like, that's not, you can't promote that because you are setting expectations I guarantee you are not going to be able to meet. There's no way that's going to happen again. You are setting people up to be disappointed no matter what happens in the rest of their race day.
I guarantee you at least one person saw that finish, super casual fan, at least one. Got tickets to Kansas, like, that's going to happen again. Like, and they just don't know any better.
True.
And then Kansas goes out there and beats everyone's ass. Like, I bet that was like, whoa, what happened? You know?
Yeah. You said Kansas went out there and beat everyone's ass.
Oh, did I say Kansas?
That's why we were giggling
Larson.
over here.
Larson went out and beat everyone's ass in Kansas. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
But that kind of goes into Jackson, the at-track experience, because even at the track, the announcers, Daryl Mott, keeps saying the home of the closest finish in NASCAR history. Are we going to see it again today, Kansas?
Wait, what happened here? What happened here? It was the closest in NASCAR history? Really? I didn't know that. That's crazy.
They said it, I swear to God, like 20 times.
Which, like, but you know, it's cool, but if that's your only angle, that's where it becomes a problem.
That's the problem, is that was the only talking point that they had to hype the fans up. Remember when this happened a year ago? It's like, yes, I'm sure 99% of us were here because no one else is here.
They should have asked the drivers if they were going to run the top or the bottom instead.
Yeah. Something.
Duh.
It's almost Pride Month. But it's just like
it's top or bottom. That's all they got to say.
So, Jackson.
Yes.
For people that
I like the top. We all do.
we all saw your Blue Sky post. We know you like the top of Kansas.
I love it. It's great. It's easy.
At my house specifically, right?
Yeah.
That's what
your home track,
my
Alex.
Home
not
track.
At your home. Your home
my
track.
bad.
I like topping.
My bad. Okay.
Not at your
Anyway.
house. I don't top at your house. That's gay.
That is gay. Jackson, if people that may not know you, you now work in like a fan experience sort of thing since the last time you were here. You're very passionate about it.
Yes.
I hope it's not for American Motorsports.
Give your angle on the current state of NASCAR at track experience.
Here's I'm going to try to keep this thoughtful, meaningful, concise, so on. Okay. Every time I come on the show, a big thing we talk about is at track experience because we've obviously just been at a track. This is something that's always been very important to me. I've been very passionate about it. And now I sort of work in this like fan experience, stadium, like presentation, like business. So I feel like I need to disclose these are the thoughts of Jackson, racing fan, like semi-professional, but like these are not the thoughts of my employers, you know, so on. Anyway, but like there are, it is a business. It is work to curate a sports event. Like this is like, you know, we put work into this stuff. Like this is
a lot. People pay a lot of money to go to these too.
Yes. Like you have to give fans value for their ticket. You're creating a sports event. This is an event. This is an experience, right? And and we're at these races, and I don't know, maybe it's some nostalgia, but like, I don't know, we kind of talked to my dad about it, who's been going to races forever, but these feel like the least event-ish that these races have like ever felt, really. And it's so many things, and we kind of have like a little mini list here, but like, it's kind of like what Denny Hamlin has kind of been talking about in NASCAR. It's like, where's the money at? Like, if Kansas is like one of these NASCAR tracks, right? And like, I don't know, we don't know the full, like, where all the dollars truly flow, but like, if you have, so like, if Advent Health is giving money, and like Fox, this TV money, like that's like, through the tracks, and like where like no money, it's hard to see money being spent at Kansas, not to mention like ticket money, like you don't see like an investment or growth happening.
Jackson, I've been going to Kansas Speedway for 20 years now. I've been going since 2005. This track looks exactly the same as it did in 2005.
Really?
As it does now.
Exactly. Yeah. It does. It is.
So, wait.
It's been the same my entire life.
I didn't realize. I was under the impression that they've spent money to upgrade it, but it's just been everything around the track.
Not
the track itself.
That's the city. That's more the city.
Right. The city spent more money than NASCAR, sounds like.
Basically. The one thing I feel like I have to give, like, so we're not like fact checked, like canceled here, is we have drink rails now, but that was just to remove empty seats. Like, if we're really getting down to it, we got drink rails put in.
And that might be why it looks more empty than it might actually be too.
I think about that sometimes.
Yeah, when I was looking at that picture, I was like, it's not that empty.
Because you cover part of our bodies with this rail that matches the same color as the bench we're sitting on.
That's true.
So I think you were kind of hurting visuals a little bit, but it was not a full stance. Do not get that mixed up. But like, the bathrooms are like gross. Like,
the bathrooms. I'm the number one bathroom connoisseur.
Like,
oh my god, the bathroom.
It's just
Tell me about it.
Bring a hose in there, like with some bleach. I don't know. It's things like that. And this isn't even like about event presentation. This is literally the facility itself. So like, that's why like Kansas, it's not a championship ready facility. It would need its Daytona Rising. It would need its like Phoenix renovation, whatever Richmond got. It deserves and needs a refresh, but it feels like they're using the racing product because they have a good product on the track, that's kind of like a crutch that they don't need to justify like renovating it, because the good product that's what it feels like. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, but like, that's what it feels like.
And then let's move on from just the facility, but like just actually watching the track. I'm like squinting, trying to see these tiny screens. And
why?
And I know this is like a thing at all the other tracks too, but why is Texas and Charlotte the only ones that have gotten, or in Bristol too, the only ones that have gotten these huge screens for anyone at the track to see?
See, I don't even care about that because you're only using these facilities twice a year. For me, it's the fact that NASCAR brings their show around and they bring these trailers with the screens around, and the screens are not useful. I understand not wanting to invest in building a big screen at each track. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of maintenance. Yeah. But the things you when you bring this tour around, if you're going to do this copy and paste, own all your tracks, just like bring your show in and out, make the show and things you bring in good. Those screens are the same screens they've been using for over a decade, maybe 2 decades, basically. It's the same ones that are still out there.
Yeah, what screens are y'all? Is it the one, like, is it like behind pit road, basically?
It's the same Sprint Vision screens, basically.
And I know Kansas has like a really huge ballpark infield. Like, there's a bigger distance to pit road than most tracks.
And I like, but like, that's not a Kansas only problem. Like, I mean, right? Like, you're still regardless of
it's just
like
larger than most.
Well, actually, that's not even true, because Alex, where we are at, it's that's the tightest part of the ball field, because it's track,
turn 4,
a tiny little strip of grass, and we're still squinting. Not to mention the people over in like the start finish line area.
That problem at Indy. At Indy, we saw
something. Oh my god! Nice. Yeah.
I think some huge ones.
Something that I tweeted that, like, just bring 2 of the screens. Let one be fully video. Let one be fully like scoring. Like, simple. Like, it just seems so simple. Anyway, that's the screen problem.
So, I think that for me is a big one, because if you're bringing like a friend who doesn't know like what's going on, maybe they know some names, or you're like maybe you like said, hey, you should root for this guy, and they want to look for him on the leaderboard. You have to look at that scoreboard that's way over there, right? Or if they don't know their car number, they're looking for them on that little ticker.
Yeah.
Like, it's so hard to read that. I think a bigger screens would be a big thing that could like make it more appealing to go to. Yeah.
It's a sporting event. When you go to a sporting event at a football stadium, at a baseball stadium, at any sports event, you're looking at the big old screen. That's what you're looking at the whole time. Like,
and it's so easy to follow. Like with racing, for example, I cannot go to a NASCAR race without a headset. Because then I won't know what's going on.
We're sitting there with headsets on. We're pulling our phone. I got my phone pulling up like.
Do y'all actually have cell service?
Yeah,
I had to use like this Verizon Wi-Fi thing, but
Kansas Speedway is in the middle of like suburbia.
That's true too.
Remember,
yes, it's
there's
like
a lot of cell towers.
Richmond's not very, and that's right outside the city, so I don't really understand that one.
I can't imagine like Bristol has like.
But like I go to Richmond and I have no cell service. And again, I'm like, I need headphones. Richmond's also a strategy race. That's part of it. But yeah. And I mean, you can watch a football game. You know exactly what's going on. Racing, I don't know. I feel like there should be some ways, whether it's screens, whatever, make it more obvious what's going on. The little things.
So if you haven't caught on, we're trying to give NASCAR and Kansas Speedway ideas of how to boost attendance and like make it more of an easy thing to like take in if you're going to one of these races. Another point you had here, Jackson, is it like a race family friendly thing? Because, you know, people are celebrating moms.
Right.
The family's all going out.
Well, right. And it's like, well, specifically this weekend. And it's like, that's how they like, that's how Daryl talks to us, right? Like he gives a very like family friendly, like, are you guys ready? Blah, blah, blah. Like that's what he's trying to do. But like, that's not what this, like Alex, if we did a 360 from our seats, I counted 10 children. Not one had a smile on their face. I think the entire day. All right.
They wanted to go home and play Fortnite.
They wanted to go home and play Fortnite. Right. And it's just like, they put in this Highline district over by Tron 1, which I'm sure I've complained about on here before. But it's just like
last year, 2 years ago.
Like you can just like put in a playground somewhere, just like a little thing like that. Like, you know, just actually make it a family friendly event. If you're gonna lean that way, I don't know.
A giant race car that they can climb all over.
Right.
Like, racetrack they could run around.
Have a good NASCAR video game. So kids would actually be into NASCAR. That's the thing. You got to get kids into racing before you take them to the track.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Anyway, it just doesn't feel like a family-friendly event.
Yeah.
By the way, they had a big like NASCAR experience thing that I'm sure they carried at all the races and everything. It's like shelved way in the back of the midway.
It's also gotten... I feel like they've kind of cut back on what's in there the last few years. Maybe I'm making that up, but it used to feel like more.
It says on there, experience the latest in NASCAR gaming or something, and there's no like simulator, nothing there.
They have one.
They have like one? I didn't see it. Okay.
Don't tell me it's Gran Turismo.
No, it's iRacing. It's iRacing on Kansas, but it's one.
I hate the Toyota simulators. And it's like Gran Turismo supercar at a fake oval track that doesn't even exist. I'm like, what are we doing?
Jackson, I don't think you specifically said it, but you want to get rid of the pickleball courts that Kansas Speedway has.
Okay, but this is more of a Jackson pickleball problem.
But yeah, you don't like pickleball.
I hate pickleball.
You know, I want to defend the pickleball courts. I want to defend the pickleball courts because I saw a very handsome man playing them. I had fun with the pickleball courts. Zack, your face. Zack is horrified.
Was it Carson Hocevar?
No.
Oh, he kissed me on Saturday night. The camera. Okay. He kissed the
Oh,
camera.
okay.
I was like, when that happened? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You didn't see it on TV, of course.
So Jackson,
yes.
It seems to appeal to the 20 to 49 demo that NASCAR is struggling to get. The TV numbers show it. I would say in-person attendance shows it as well. Pickleball courts seems to be their attempt at that. I think that's a strike and a miss.
What?
And they're not even level, right?
Is that a thing?
The pickleball
people
courts?
my age do not play pickleball. Is that a
It's a thing. It is a thing.
But
don't put it at a NASCAR race. I think it's weird.
Yes. That's why, okay, like if you're gonna, that's what I mean by putting a playground. Like if you're gonna put in something that's not relating to your racing product, make it something to entertain the children that aren't watching the race. Like don't put something in for the adults that can watch the race. Put something in for children
Get a
that don't watch the
blacktop
race
with a bunch of markings of racetracks, and just the kids will run around.
I mean, come on, literally.
And put some cars on there for them to
or like a little go-kart. Like Richmond had like a little go-kart thing set up like once. Like I don't know.
Buy some tricycles and call it a day.
Or that. The pedal car that Kyle Larson had when he won the pole.
Yeah.
The pedal cars.
Oh my God!
The
They could put pedal cars up there. That could be.
That'd be so perfect. And then you'll see the pole winner with it.
Oh my God, guys!
Wait, they could make that their own thing. They could make that like part of the track's brand. Like,
literally. Oh my God, guys! Oh my God.
The gay track promoters. The gay track promoters.
Easy slam dunk. But here's what they're doing instead, Zach, and our listeners and watchers. Daryl Mott threatened to play Sabrina Carpenter. Threatened. If you don't cheer, I'm going to start playing Sabrina Carpenter or Justin Bieber.
Don't make me play Justin Bieber.
Okay, no,
I'd love to hear a top
cringe.
40 right now.
That's something you would say like 15 years ago.
Literally.
Does Justin Bieber even make music anymore?
But they don't even. So I did hear Taylor Swift
cringe.
at one point during the race.
That is so cringe. Justin Bieber, what are we doing?
I heard Taylor Swift at one point. They'll play like some songs, but it's just like they don't play anything top 40. Daryl Mott was saying like, we're going to play this instead. And then he played Elvis, right?
Literally Elvis.
I almost wonder if it's like they don't have they didn't buy the music. Like they didn't buy the
right.
Buy the music.
Maybe they
I don't care. Buy the music.
Well, no, what I'm saying is that looks really cheap.
It is.
Like, you know, when you go to a store all the time and you're like, I've heard this song a lot in this store. You know,
Yes.
like it's like one of those things.
That's why it kind of gets, it's like, where is the money? Like, what are you spending it on? Because you're bringing this same show to every track. So it's not just that you're coming to Kansas twice a year, because you're running this show 20 times a season. So you could invest in making this show better because you're using it 20 times a season. That's what's the copy and paste model of running this same thing at every track. If you're going to do that, it should be a good thing.
And you alluded to it earlier, Jackson, is that fan experience is like a whole specific career path. And they have kind of just thrown Daryl Mott into this, who's more like a TV kind of host or a like pre-show kind of host kind of thing. And they have him doing crowd work.
Like
People
are professional. Like there are people that are good at stadium hosting, and they do stadium hosting. Daryl got repurposed. And unfortunately not a way that, and he seems kind of, I don't know, maybe he seems kind of miserable doing it. Can I say that?
He doesn't seem happy.
It doesn't seem like he's having fun. It seems like he's going through the motions.
Anyone with a job in NASCAR seems miserable.
Well,
or they pretend they're not, like, what's his face? Moody. It's
just something, I don't know, Alex, I guess I'm kind of cutting in the line here, but like,
I was just going to say TLDR. That's kind of our ideas of how you could fix or adjust or remove things to maybe improve attendance, improve the track experience. Because I'm sure that some people will go and be like, "Oh, this is kind of cringy. This is kind of rough," and then not go. You know?
Yeah, it's just hard to. I hope that didn't just sound like spewing a bunch of stuff. I mean, it probably did, but I hope it makes sense in just how like going. It doesn't have to be this way, right? That's what I guess, I don't know. And it's the same, I don't know, it's the same stuff.
Well, can I just say, I live 1 hour away from Richmond Raceway, and I'm still not decided if I'm going to the Cup race.
That's like, I was talking about going to Michigan in June, and after this weekend, I'm like, I don't like. I'd rather go to
and
Milwaukee
like we're NASCAR
for Indy.
fans.
Like I don't know. Right. Like look. I got this on. I got
like we talk about this every week.
And listen, I'm biased. I think because it's Richmond and like the racing has been declining, sure, but I don't really care about that. It's more just like, why am I going to go to a track where I'm less comfortable? I have to physically like walk to like a public restroom to use it and just sit out in the weather. I'd rather just watch a race where I can actually understand what's going on, kind of, unless Fox goes to commercial. And it's just, I don't know. I just like watching racing from my home most of the time instead of going to a track and watching it. And that's always been the problem with racing in America. And we have it better here in America. I mean, with ovals. Did you see, and obviously this is in America, but I saw a TikTok of like someone at Miami and they're just watching one turn the entire time. I'm like, I would be so bored. Right. How do you even know what's happening? But yeah.
Right. So quickly, because we are now at an hour in. Our episodes normally end right now.
Alex, people want to listen to us talk. They're listening to us talk. All right.
Jackson keeps track of the playoff points.
I'm open to that.
Throughout the full year. And I think this is something Fox Sports should be doing. I think it is dumb that they do not. And I hope Prime and TNT maybe will. But now, if you are on YouTube, you have this popped up for audio listeners. I'll read it off for you. Kyle Larson now has 38 playoff points. These are not locked in, all of them. But Jackson, do you want to kind of explain this? We have Larson 38, Bell 24, Byron 18.
Yeah, I'll explain here. So I've done this the last few years now. I'm out of my influencer era, but I still do this because it legitimately helps me follow the season. Basically, I take the race wins. No, literally, because the NASCAR standings page, awful. Anyway, it doesn't really tell you anything. This can tell you something. It gives you race wins multiplied by 5. It adds in the stage points, and it adds in their live regular season standing bonus points. So what this tells you is if the playoffs started today, 1, who's in, and 2, how many playoff points they have, which is like really the only point of the regular season is you want to be at the top of this leaderboard, of that leaderboard.
Yeah, literally.
So
because if you're first, you get the 15 bonus points at the end of the regular season.
So it serves multiple purposes, right? It shows you, 1, you want to earn playoff points because you're literally going to need these playoff points at the end of the season. But 2, it kind of provides the weight of the things that they fight for every week. Like when it comes to the playoffs, the most important thing is to win a race. Can you win races? The next most important thing would be, can you execute stage wins to score points there? And then kind of the tertiary important thing is your overall consistency in regular season points. And so by listing it this way, it kind of weights those things appropriately. Like it creates a list that kind of matches, 1, the success of the season so far, and also like who's executing these things. Like, and it just, I don't know, it just feels like the right way to follow a season.
So basically what we have here is if the playoffs started today, this is what it would look like, is right here.
Y'all are overcomplicating the hell out of this. Like, yes,
it's just scoring points.
That's all it is.
Yes, that's literally all it is. Anyway, Kyle Larson has 38 playoff points right now, and most of the time, the start of the playoff top seed has 40 points. So the fact he has 38 is crazy. I looked it up, and now I want to check myself before I say it because I have my spreadsheet here.
8 stage wins this early in the season.
And that's why crazy. Chase Elliott not having a stage win is.
He's won a third of the stages then. 24 stages. Wait, yeah, 12 races, 24 stages. That means he's won a third of the stages, 8 of 24. 12 races?
Well, yeah, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Of the
I'm not
stage
the math
one
guy. I'm not checking that.
I'll give soft yes.
He's won 1/3 of the stages.
Okay.
Like not counting stage 3.
We get it. Move on.
Move on.
That's anyway, 2020 Kevin Harvick had 57 playoff points. That's the record in this era. So he's on a good pace.
He's on track.
Anyway.
Oh my god.
Kyle Larson's doing very well.
8 stage wins. That's ridiculous.
Anyway.
I just want to say at this point, the 47 car is in the playoffs. Yeah. I'm just looking down here at the bottom. Brisco's currently in. Ross Chastain, I feel like he's been really quiet, is in. Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
The other thing I try to do on this is I only highlight the top 8 because those are the championship contenders. 9 to 16 are going to make the playoffs, but come on, right. These are your contenders up here.
It's all Penske
because acting when we get to when we get to the end of the regular season and we're acting like the people down here, that's what annoys me about the NBC part. We get really, whatever bubble, playoff, not playoff, but this is what's worth watching. The guys that are scoring the big playoff points.
Yeah. I like that. I'm glad you do that because it's we don't need to talk about Barry and Reddick right now.
They're on there. It's interesting, but come on.
I like that.
Yeah.
Good job with this, Jackson. I love this.
No, thank you.
You're right. TV should talk about this more because this is what's actually important.
And if you are an audio person, you can find it on Jackson's Blue Sky, which is at JTodd14.
Yep.
And he does these every week. Moving on to IndyCar at the Indianapolis Road Course, and we're also going to talk about Indy 500 qualifying weekend. Alex Palou won again because, of course, he did. Moving on.
I will say I appreciate everyone who is at least am I tired of complaining about IndyCar? Sure. Let's talk about how historic this is. I mean, Alex Palou is on a generational run in a series where it's supposed to be really competitive. It's supposed to be really close. It is. And he's still beating everybody by margins in qualifying, in the race. It's cool to see. It's something we're going to look back on one day and be like, wow, that was an ass kicking. So,
and he has a 2 race advantage over second and third in points, Kyle Kirkwood and Christian Lundgaard. That is crazy.
Kyle Kirkwood being second is kind of cool.
That is cool. Yeah, it's kind of an underrated story right now. Graham Rahal led a bit, Zach. RLL had a pretty good weekend.
He put it to Palou.
Fast 6.
He put it to Palou on the, crazy performance. RL's apparently always been really good at this track. We thought it was just Christian Lundgaard carrying them, but no, they've been good.
Rahal and Dixon had a pretty good battle a few years ago.
Yeah, and Rahal put it to Palou in turn 1, lap 1, and had control of the race until about, I believe it was the second to last stint. We also ended our green flag streak. David Malukas had problems with the electronics on his car, and oh my god, Twitter was so funny. It was a caution. We had a caution in an IndyCar race. Nothing major really happened from it because Palou still ran away on the restart. But
I just want to say one thing. Flop of the week to David Malukas for tweeting that, I had to do one. I had to do it for everyone. That is an insult to your team, and I do not like that.
You were being a Karen. It's a joke. No, you're being a Karen.
Not when you're. He's in a new team. He's sponsorless. He's not running particular. It's
no, but it's like a joke because we've been having no cautions.
Yeah, I think his whole thing is he doesn't take anything seriously. He's kind of a. I don't like.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
You just hate him.
It wouldn't be like if like Scott McLaughlin tweeted it, I don't know.
See, if McLaughlin did it, I don't know.
But y'all are haters. Y'all are crazy.
You know what? Scott McLaughlin wouldn't even tweet something like that because it's not something that you should be tweeting as a professional race car driver.
That's true. Okay,
I agree.
I don't know. I never would have thought of it like that. See, I just thought it was.
I just think it's icky. So yeah, flop of the week to David.
It makes him. It makes him seem. Yeah.
I get it, but I don't. It's weird.
He is probably the favorite if Will Power gets replaced to replace Will Power, David Malukas.
Ugh.
When you're acting like that, I feel like it's really immature and you're not ready for that kind of promotion.
There you go.
When you're just being silly.
There you go.
Zach has his jaw dropped. I'm sure a lot of our listeners do.
Oh my God.
He is not
Am I like crazy here? Like, I just don't think it's that big of a deal.
He does this a lot, and I'm just like...
His car failed. Like, I don't know what it's not like he wrecked. I think if he wrecked, then yeah, but his car just failed. It happens.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't even the team's fault. It was something with the electronics, so it could have been like I don't know. I'm getting.
Yeah, said, my hybrid died, y'all. I don't know.
Fuck Honda. Oh, anyway,
we're an hour in. It's fine.
He should have said that.
Indy 500 qualifying is this weekend. Zach Jackson, what should we watch out for?
Oh my God. I'm so excited for this. I am so excited to really talk about, and I complained earlier that there's no storylines going on in NASCAR. Well, there's storylines going on with Indy because I have so many questions what's like this hybrid's been not really a good thing for IndyCar, but I think it's going to have its best moment here at the Indianapolis 500 because the Indy 500 has always been about innovation in technology, and it's just like, how is this hybrid going to impact qualifying in terms of speed, also reliability? Because hybrid, we've already seen reliability issues with the hybrids everywhere, and if a team has an issue on Saturday, that could really set them back, and that could create a lot of drama. So we got to follow that. And in general, it's going to be the biggest test for the hybrid so far. You're asking this engine to go 4 laps straight out. That's really cool to me. Really cool to me. And, we'll talk about more when the race, when we look forward to the race, because we saw reliability issues without the hybrid last year in the 500. So, and again, Chevy versus Honda. Chevy last year, they had some issues and some gremlins in qualifying, but they were still like, they had 10 cars in the Fast 12 compared to Honda's 2. So I'll be interested to see if the dynamic shifts, what manufacturer has it figured out, because this is something new. There are a lot of unknowns coming into qualifying this weekend. Yeah, that's why I'm really looking forward to it.
I feel like anything could happen. I have a bold prediction to make here. I think there's going to be a surprise bump day appearance from someone, and it's going to be because of a hybrid failure.
Ooh.
I agree with you, except I don't think it's going to be because of a hybrid failure. Our next point, it's going to be because they crashed either like Thursday or Friday or whatever. I mean, we saw it with Ericsson. I don't remember what day of practice he crashed on, but Ericsson, he crashed on, it might have been a qualifying day even. It might have been Saturday. I don't remember, but it set that team so far back, and he ends up at the last row shootout as almost a two-time defending 500 winner. He almost went back-to-back like in that race, and he ended up on the last row shootout. Like,
which then cost him he wrecked in turn 1 in the race because he was back there.
I mean, it's hard to pass in the race in general. Like, so it's like this qualifying session, it's the best in the world. And it's not just because it has its own weekend. It's not because it takes place over 2 days. It's not because it's the fastest things on earth taking laps. It's because it's really it starts tomorrow morning, Tuesday, or at noon when they throw the green flag. That's when qualifying really starts, because these teams have to optimize the hell out of these cars with this new hybrid unit for the next 3-4 days. Fast Friday, qualifying on Saturday, and we'll transition, Alex, to who's going to be looking at the face of elimination, not making the Indy 500. Alex just got that "I love racing" look on his face.
Zach, your little monologue there was
well. I did this with F1 last week because I'm actually passionate about this racing right now. NASCAR. There's nothing to say about NASCAR right now. I'm just
realization that this upcoming Friday is Fast Friday gave me goosebumps. I'm like, oh my god, we're here! Oh my god!
And can we just
wait?
Who's going to get bumped? And it could be anyone that has a hybrid failure, anyone that has a wreck. But right now, the four or five that I'm watching, can we talk about Prema? Because I think,
we're talking about Prema. They've never done an oval, and Robert Schwartzman, who drives for Prema, has never done an oval.
Golly.
And we're talking about optimizing.
Callum Ilett's not exactly the most experienced driver on ovals either.
Yeah. Optimizing the hell out of these cars with no notebook. This chassis has been around for over a decade. They're almost lucky that the hybrid's new, because hopefully it almost equals the playing field a little bit. Yeah. But I was
telling you beforehand that Prema could be top of the charts somehow. They just nail it first try.
I just don't know. How are they going to have speed? Unless are they Chevy or Honda? I don't remember. Unless they're borrowing notes from other teams. I don't remember what I kind of forget their team, to be honest. But because they just haven't really been running too close at the front, I guess. But that's expected. They're Chevy. So maybe Chevy's been fast. So maybe that's their saving grace.
Right. Maybe they'll be mid-pack.
Is Rahal, Graham Rahal, and RL in general, are they going to be on fraud watch? Louis Foster, also new to ovals, being at that team that's not been good in qualifying. That's not good. That's not good.
Foster's been good on ovals in Indy Next, but never done an IndyCar oval yet. He's done some tests,
this is
but
so
that's
different.
not it. Jacob Abel, same situation.
Indy Next oval. So Iowa Gateway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Milwaukee.
Yeah. Bring back the Freedom 100.
Bring back Texas.
Yeah. So there's a lot of storylines to watch this weekend. Is Penske going to be really fast again? I'm just excited. I mean, what we talk about, man, this NASCAR race is boring. Meanwhile, I'm going to go watch 6 hours of Indy cars just make solo laps. Bye. What? This doesn't make sense that it's so exciting, but it is. It's the most exciting qualifying session on earth. This isn't even the race, and it's so exciting. Sometimes I like qualifying more than the actual race. It's just so cool to see these time trials.
And I agree with you. I think this is my favorite weekend of the whole year. Is Indy 500 qualifying. I love the Indy 500, obviously. I love the triple day header weekend. But Indy 500 qualifying is just unmatched in motorsport. Oh my God. I can't wait. Fast Friday is this Friday, guys. Oh my God.
4 laps. You called your little show on ATLY Media 4 laps for a reason, because these 4 laps at Indy are some of the intense 4 laps in all of motorsports. And I'm so excited to talk about it next time we record next Monday. It's going to be so awesome.
Let's make our poll predictions, because next time we record an episode, qualifying will be done. And if you're new to the Gay Racing Podcast and you follow our little fantasy game, Indy 500 qualifying counts as a race. It counts for points. So if we get the exact pole, we get 3 points, and if we beat the other, it's just 1. Zach, you have the point lead. You had Alex Palou at the Indy Road Course, which is a win. I had Lundgaard to finish 16th. I get to pick first. Ooh, there are so many options, but I am going to go with Pato Award. I think he's going to have a really strong start to this attempt. He's going to be really excited. I think Chevrolet is going to just keep up their momentum. Penske might fade a bit in quali. I don't think we're going to see a front row sweep or anything.
You don't think Penske is going to be as good as you just fade a little bit? That's what
a little bit
because the hybrid.
I'm saying in quali. I'm saying quali.
No, I know.
I think they're locking.
We ain't talking about the race. Yeah, we ain't talking about the race yet.
Yeah, because if you recall, when Joseph won the 500 the first time, 23, their qualifying was not good yet. The next year, boom, 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 row 1. So I think they're going to focus on the race. So I got Pato. Who you got?
I'm actually going to go with the person I picked for second because I really want to pick this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And you will not believe who I'm about to say. I think Santino Ferrucci is going to win the pole.
That's
a good pick.
I saw he's been in the Fast Six a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Chevy, Penske Alliance.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's like Santino just seems like one of those guys where it's just like, yeah, there's a new factor, but he's still just going to be fast. I can't believe I just picked him.
That's a good pick, though. And this is about the race. He could win the race someday, too. He's really good at Indy.
I just hope I don't see it. I hope I'm not there. I hope to God I'm not there for it.
Yeah, not this
he
time.
showed up to the Indy Next broadcast in a pink suit, by the way.
Bro.
Yeah, no business.
Not even a year after
the boyfriend teammate incident. Not even a year removed from it. I love him. I can't help but be a fan of him now. Love it.
Jackson, who are you picking? You will not block us from any points.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Feel free to repick either. Like if you think Santino or Pato.
I'll pick someone new just to throw it out there. I'm gonna go. I don't know. I'm gonna pick Alexander Rossi. That's my pole pick.
Ed Carpenter. That's actually
Carpenter.
A good
pick. Yeah. So
I didn't think about him at all.
Alex Rossi.
And ECR, they weren't that fast as
last
they
year.
normally are last year, but Renus VK did have that, that superhero moment at the final run on Saturday to get into the Fast 12.
Yeah, that's right.
He had trouble, so he had a wreck or something. So he was kind of coming back from that. Okay,
so none of us picking Penske. I think 2 or 3.
McLaughlin was my first pick. I was just going to pick him again because I was just like. McLaren, I'm uneasy because Pato just hasn't won the pole before, and Lundgaard and Siegel are kind of unproven at this, and Honda I didn't want to put trust in, so no Ganassi. I was having a lot of trouble, so that's why I landed on McLaughlin, maybe one of his teammates, and Ferrucci. And I was just like, you know what? I just have this feeling about Ferrucci this weekend.
Santino's a pick I never would have thought. Like I forget he's out there. Like that's a really good pick, Zach. Good job.
I know. I was like, you know what? Let's not go for the most obvious boring pick. Let's go with the guy that might actually win the pole.
That might be the right call, just with how much of a wild card this
AJ Foyt. They always have speed in qualifying. They always do. So
and just a note for everyone: Kyle Larson will not be doing the Fast 6 this year. I'm pretty sure this is confirmed.
This is so dumb.
This is pissing me off.
The Fast 6 is an hour later than it was a year ago. And Kyle says he wants to run the All-Star race. I'm assuming it's NASCAR that's pushing
him.
He said it like he had a gun pointed to his head. So I don't know what we're doing here, Kyle. Stop lying. Don't lie to us.
Yeah.
It's just like get somebody.
If Larson makes the Fast 6, I imagine he'll just start 6th.
That's so disappointing.
Yeah.
Having the All-Star race on that Sunday night anyways is just so idiotic to me. Most
useless race on this schedule, like whatever.
And you really got to be there for it. Oh my God. Whatever. Maybe it won't matter and maybe he won't make the but it's just like it just defeats the purpose of going to Sunday if he makes it to Sunday.
Right.
Oh my God.
And just a reminder, anyone can be bumped. We talked about the bump day earlier. Anyone can get pole. Like there's
Joseph
no locked-in
Newgarden.
spots for this race. Joseph could
Power
win back-to-back.
went
Will
to
and
the
be
Power
left
almost
out.
got bumped.
Yeah.
Will Power's been in bump day recently, not that long ago.
God, there's some stupid rule that keeps coming back every year that I keep forgetting about. Something with one of the pit lanes on bump day or something. There's like time where like everybody's waiting, like no one's on the track.
So there's a part. Oh, we're not gonna have Marty Snyder telling us this.
I know. I love when Marty. It gets when Marty would.
So there's a line where you can go out, maintain your previous time, or the other line you have to like sign an agreement that you are withdrawing you are withdrawing your entry from the Indianapolis 500. Go in that line, you get to go right through the line and go. Is that what he's about?
No, it's how the last row shootout, those 4 cars, they all get a run and then there's still like time on the clock. They all just sit there because they want to be like the last one to go out. They all just sit there.
Right.
It's just like kind of dumb. Maybe that's what it was.
I think. I mean, the thing with the last row.
I just
Okay.
I didn't mean to bring it up. It was just like one of those things like, oh yeah, there's always this one thing about Indy 500 qualifying that annoys me and it comes back up every year. I think it's that. But it's not a big deal. I'm still going to have a blast this weekend.
Well, I just called it the most useless race on the schedule, but the NASCAR All-Star Race is at North Wilkesboro. No points on the line, but I did get a win with Kyle Larson. You had Blaney, Zack with P3. I guess you can still pick first. I have the points lead 13-9, but again, no points.
I get to pick first? Awesome.
Yeah.
I will be picking Harrison Burton to win the All-Star race. He is going to run the 51 for Rick Ware Racing since he is eligible. And when else am I going to get to pick Harrison Burton to win a Cup Series race? Never. I might never get this opportunity again. So I'm going to seize this moment and pick Harrison Burton.
I love it. Well,
he's going to turn left, actually.
Harrison turns left. Yep.
Go Harrison. Oh,
I'm going with someone who stole all the headlines last year in the All-Star race, and it wasn't for winning it, but this year maybe he'll win it. I'm going to go with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with winning the All-Star race.
This is going to be the race of the century. Oh my! Wait, is he even in the All-Star race?
He won Talladega last fall.
Good. Oh, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome.
So watch our battle for what, 18th, 15th? Well,
oh my God.
Keep an eye on it.
You guys should wager something related to Indy 500 race day on this. Anyway.
The loser gets punched.
I'll punch him.
We need to find a pair of those yellow shorts that Ricky wore.
Shut up.
Oh my God.
That's a good idea.
We need to find those shorts.
Shut up.
I'm not saying we should wear it on Indy 500 race day or anything,
but
like, I don't know.
Anyway,
I don't know. I almost want them. Should the loser like have to get them or wear them? But I almost kind of want them. So it's like maybe that should be the reward.
Oh man,
I'm gonna go a semi-meme pick, but in a different direction. Well, I mean, can I pick Ryan Blaney because he can't win anything, but then he'd win the one race that doesn't really get him much for winning? Is that allowed?
That is kind of
a meme.
Does that count? Yeah.
Yeah.
He's won the All-Star race before. In fact, Penske. Wait, it's going to be Hendrick. Hendrick and Penske are like they're trading. Like they alternate right now. The All-Star race, I notice, but we'll see.
Okay. Real quick, Jackson. Zack, did you have one made in All-Star race format? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're having fun this week. Jackson, you had an All-Star race format as well. I did. My All-Star race format is they should get rid of this race. Jackson, what is your All-Star race format?
Well, that's the ideal scenario, but that's unfortunately not happening.
Honestly, I don't bring it back to Charlotte. But
that's part of my proposal here. Okay, I forget my specifics, and we're going to go through quickly. But okay. Theme of the day, events, create events, make an all-star Sunday, make it preferably not Indy 500 poll day, but I'm just ignoring that for this.
Well,
Give us a Saturday night, maybe.
Okay, all right. Anyway, I want a lot of these all-star things are kind of going more in a skills competition direction. I think we should lean into that for NASCAR because otherwise this is just a same old boring old race, except for we have some caution thing, but we always have weird caution things. It's NASCAR, so let's create something out of this. I think you need to have an event at Charlotte Motor Speedway. You need to create some kind of 4-prong system. You could still have a showdown if that has something to do with the charters and letting guys come in, run your showdown. Maybe it's in the morning kind of thing, and then throughout the day you have a pit stop challenge, use the Roval, use the Legends track even.
You're going where I'm. And then, that's what I was starting to think.
So create a 4-prong system, and then somehow the winner of each of those starts in the top 4 for the All-Star race, and not everybody that makes the All-Star event makes the All-Star race. You have to you get points from each of these events. So Roval, Legends track, pit stop challenge, something else. Anyway, some combination of that. Make it an event. Make it all NASCAR All-Star Sunday, something like that. I don't know.
No, imagine one mega qualifying lap where lap 1 is the normal oval. Yeah. And then lap 2, you make the pit stop. And then lap 3, you run the road course. And then lap 4, you run the Legends oval.
Wait, you could just come out of your pit stop and turn onto the Roval.
No, actually, no. I think the end of the road course lap is when you go do the Legends Oval. So then you're not up.
Out of the chicane. Oh my God.
Then, otherwise, it'd be stupid because then you're going way too fast to turn into the Legends Oval. So
you come out of that chicane and
oval, road course, Legends Oval, and then
throw a pit stop in there.
Do the normal fat, balls to the wall pit stop. Okay. That would be so stupid, and I love it.
Yeah. All right.
That's not so. I love as soon as you were explaining your idea, I'm like that. I know where he's going with this. That'd be really cool. I missed the pit stop competition when it was cool, but my idea, and I'm basically just stealing this from Dale Jr., but the main idea is that we should not be doing this race with the next gen cars. Let's take the best drivers and the best teams, and let's have them in late models. Especially if it's somewhere still at North Wilkesboro. Sure, North Wilkesboro. Have them in late models, okay? Because then they can actually have fun and they can actually race. Maybe open up the rule book a little bit so then the crew chiefs also get to have fun. But it's not to a point where it's I don't know. Maybe it could be, and I don't know how they would get these cars. Maybe they collaborate with late model teams from the car store. Maybe they buy bodies or something. Maybe that can, kind of feeding the money down to more lower series teams at the short track level. That'd be kind of cool, right? And again, I'm stealing all this from Dale Jr. He had this idea, but one of my favorite parts about it was how the car store is going to have a race at North Wilkesboro this weekend on All-Star weekend. What if the winner of the car store race got to race in the NASCAR All-Star race, since it's the same kind of car?
That'd be like the cool SRX All-Star kind of thing. That'd be cool.
In a
cool
late model stock. Again, I just think, we talk about experimenting with the next gen car and how the teams turn that down. Well, hell, let's just screw the next gen car. Let's go race with some, or even get some street stocks or something. Just make I don't know, because you don't want it to look like a stupid event either. That's why it's late model stocks. These are still race cars. Now, and I know Ford, Chevy, and Toyota might be like, girl, what are y'all doing?
Yeah.
But Dale Jr. Dale Jr. had the idea, and I thought it was a really fun idea. So
I know that the safety standards wouldn't be up to par, but what if they found old Gen 4 bodies and they just raced those?
Not happening.
That wouldn't happen, but that'd be cool.
Well, that sounds like a nightmare, getting all those old cars, but
it probably costs more than what Danny was saying this would cost.
Regardless, it needs to be something other than a fun flag at the end of the day. They need to have an actual term, make something out of it. They come up with silly formats for their championship. How can they not come up with a proper silly format for the All-Star race?
And that's the thing. It's 2 years ago when we went to North Wilkesboro, it's oh, cool. The gimmick this year is we're going to North Wilkesboro. Yeah. But now we're still at North Wilkesboro. That's not the gimmick anymore. And, the short track racing isn't that good anyways. Drivers don't care about this race. So they're not going to get mad. Well, Ricky and Kyle got mad at each other, so let me not say that. But, Kyle is crashing out, so let's be fair. Or Ricky was, I guess.
Oh my God! Wait, new idea. Can we do some kind of team challenge? Like,
Okay.
like if Josh Berry runs the full race in a Wood Brothers car, but like the Hendrick drivers have to like take turns in their car, like at these like stage breaks or something. Like, like the Penske, like there's a Penske car out there, and there's a Hendrick car out there, and there's an RFK car out there. I mean, it's not really practical because like obviously like Austin Cindric and Ryan Blaney aren't sitting in the same car, but like or in the same seat. But
like that either.
But you can't throw you can't throw a HendrickCars.com and Napa and Valvoline and Ally on the same car. I feel like the teams are all tied up in their sponsors these days anyway.
That might actually give them a break. They only got sponsor one car. Listen, that's my idea for the NASCAR Clash. Multi-class NASCAR and the drivers swap. Like, it's basically, you know, it's kind of like the Rolex, right? Make it a 2-hour race or something. I don't know. You could do it with drivers sharing the cars, or for the Clash, my idea was you invite the playoff teams from Cup, Xfinity, and Trucks. And that's like 30 cars.
I can't believe we haven't done that by now. Like,
that'd be fun.
It should. Yeah. That'd be fun. Anyways. And like, wouldn't the truck teams love that? They'd get some exposure, like with a Cup, like somewhat Cup level audience. Like, I feel like that'd be pretty nice.
That's a good sell to sponsors. Like, hey, we're in a Cup event, like basically.
Yeah.
And it's something different. That'd be fun.
Well, if you listened to all that, watched all that, and enjoyed it, let us know what all-star race format you would make, who you think's going to get the Indy 500 pull, what you would do if you would make improvements to the at-track product for fans and everything. Everything we talked about, let us know. Jackson, where can people find you?
Yeah, like I said, I'm kind of out of my influencer era now, but you can follow me on Blue Sky. I still yap on there. I treat it like a little group chat on there if you want to follow me on Blue Sky. But yeah,
JTodd14, X influencer.
Right.
So let's wrap this episode up. Thank you all for listening and watching. This has been a longer one, but as Zach said, if you're still
it was only
here,
90 minutes.
Fun.
You're acting like we were on here yapping for 2 hours like we used to back in the day.
Yeah. Little throwback. Kind comment
talk
this
about
week.
Stuff.
It's from Seth Colby 3 on TikTok. It's really refreshing to see other non-traditional NASCAR fans. Thank you, Seth.
I'm very traditional. Obviously.
Yeah, that
How dare you? I'm just kidding.
That one moment earlier in the episode is very traditional. Join the Patreon discussion that happened throughout the episode at patreon.com/gayracingpod. Thank you to our Patreon subs. We love you. Rate us 5 stars on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you'd like. Write a written 5-star Apple review, guys. You guys haven't done that in a minute. What's that about? Just kidding. We appreciate it. Consider liking and subscribing on YouTube. GRP socials are at Gay Racing Pod on Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram. And you can find me at New Gaiden on Blue Sky, and Zach is at Dreamy Zach Racing on Blue Sky and Twitter.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Jackson, for joining us. Jackson, I've been having a lot of fun on iRacing this year. You guys just follow our socials to keep up with our paint schemes and stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on. Always like it. Always a good time.
We'll see you guys next week to talk about Indianapolis 500 qualifying and the NASCAR All-Star race, I guess. And then in 2 weeks, Alex and I will be in person to record our episode after the Indy 500. So we'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.
Bye.